The red light blinked on Commander Jake Morrison's desk for the third time in 5 minutes. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the communication panel. Another message from the outer colonies. These days, it seemed like every research station and mining outpost had some kind of problem. Jake worked the night shift at United Earth Command on Luna Station. Most nights were quiet. He read reports, checked supply schedules, and answered routine calls from ships passing through human space. Tonight felt different, though. The messages coming in were all urgent, all scared. He pressed the flashing button and leaned back in his chair. The screen came alive with static, then cleared to show a woman's face. She looked tired and frightened. Her brown hair was messy and her eyes kept looking over her shoulder. "This is Dr. Lisa Kane calling from Research Station Kepler 442b, she said. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I need to speak with someone in command right away. This is about alien contact. This is about murder." Jake sat up straight. Alien contact calls went straight to the top. He had never handled one before. "Dr. Kane, this is Commander Morrison at Earth Command. What's your situation?" Lisa looked around again before answering. "Commander, I've been studying alien species out here for 3 years. Peaceful contact, nothing military. But something terrible is happening. There's a race called the Vorth Collective. They're killing everyone." The screen flickered. When it cleared, Lisa was closer to the camera. Jake could see tears in her eyes. "I watched them destroy the Zilani homeworld last month," she continued. "The Zilani were beautiful creatures. They looked like living crystals and they had just learned to fly between stars. They were so excited to meet other races. The Vorth ships came and stripped their planet bare in 3 days. Billions dead." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Dr. Kane, are you certain about this? Do you have proof?" "I have recordings, I have scan data." "Commander, the Vorth aren't just killing one species, they're killing all of them. They find a planet with intelligent life, surround it with their ships, and take everything. They drain the oceans, strip the minerals, harvest every living thing. Then they move on to the next world." The transmission crackled with interference. Lisa looked at something off camera and her face went pale. "They just finished with the Harani system yesterday," she said quickly. 6 billion bird-like people who wrote the most beautiful poetry. Gone, all of them gone. The Vorth left nothing but empty rocks. Jake activated his recording system. This was too important to trust to memory. "Dr. Kane, why are you telling Earth Command this? We don't interfere in alien conflicts. That's been our policy since first contact." Lisa leaned forward until her face filled the screen. "Because they're coming here next, Commander. I intercepted their communications. They're moving toward human space. But first, they're going to hit the Kythera system." Jake knew that name. The Kythera were traders who had visited Earth several times. They brought amazing art and music. Their ambassador had even performed at the United Nations. "The Kythera are peaceful," Jake said. "They don't even have weapons." "Exactly," Lisa replied. "Easy targets. The Vorth prefer helpless victims." "Commander, I've been tracking their movements for weeks. They follow the same pattern every time. Scout ships arrive first. They study the target world for a few days. Then the main fleet comes and the killing starts." The screen filled with static again. When it cleared, alarms were sounding in the background behind Lisa. She was running now, carrying her communication device. "Scout ships just jumped into my system," she said, breathing hard. "Commander, I'm sending you all my data now. Everything I know about the Vorth. Their ship designs, their weapons, their tactics. Someone has to stop them." Jake watched the data files download onto his system. Dozens of recordings, scan reports, and tactical analyses. "Dr. Kane, get to your escape pods. We'll send a rescue ship." Lisa stopped running and looked directly into the camera. "There's no time for rescue, Commander. The Vorth main fleet just arrived. I can see them through the station windows. Huge ships, hundreds of them. They're already moving toward the planet below." Jake could hear the fear in her voice, but also something else. Determination. "Commander Morrison, I need you to promise me something. I need you to make sure the right people see this data. The Vorth have been killing innocent species for years. Millions of civilizations, billions of lives. If humanity has any conscience left, if we're really the good people we claim to be, someone has to stop them. The transmission began breaking, up badly. Jake could barely make out Lisa's words. The Kythera system is their next target, she said. They'll hit it in less than a week. Those beautiful, peaceful people who shared their music with us. They're going to die unless someone helps. Them. Warning lights began flashing on Lisa's end. The station was shaking. Commander, tell whoever makes the decisions that this isn't just about alien politics anymore. This is about right and wrong. This is about whether we stand up to evil or let it spread across the galaxy. The screen went white for a moment. When the image returned, Lisa was pressed against a wall. Equipment was floating around her as the station lost gravity. They're cutting through the hull, she said quietly. Commander, I'm a scientist. I never wanted to be a soldier. But sometimes good people have to fight. Sometimes there's no other choice. Jake gripped his desk as he watched. Dr. Kane, is there anything we can do? Lisa smiled sadly. You can remember what I told you. You can make sure the people in charge know that genocide is happening out here, and you can ask them one question for me. The transmission was almost gone now. Jake could barely hear her final words. Ask them what humanity stands for. Ask them if we're going to watch innocent people die, or if we're going to do something about it. The screen went black. Jake stared at it for a long moment, then reached for his emergency communication panel. Admiral Kate Sullivan and General Rick Hayes needed to see this immediately. As he waited for the connection, Jake looked out the window, at Earth hanging in space below. Somewhere out there, alien races were being murdered by the billions, and now humanity had to decide what kind of species they really were. Captain Ben Taylor floated in the command chair of the UES Shadow, watching the stars stretch into lines as they dropped out of hyperspace. His ship was one of Earth's newest stealth vessels, designed for deep space reconnaissance. Today, it might be humanity's eyes into hell. Jump complete, Captain, reported Amy Rodriguez from the navigation station. Her fingers danced over the sensor controls, bringing the ship's advanced scanning systems online. We're at the coordinates Dr. Kane provided. Ben nodded and looked around his small bridge crew. Amy was the best sensor operator in the fleet, able to make their equipment see things that shouldn't be possible. Sergeant Tom Brooks sat at the tactical station, his Marine training evident in the way he constantly checked their weapons status. These two people were about to witness something that might change humanity forever. Full passive scans, Amy. I want to know everything about this system, but I don't want anyone knowing we're here. Amy's hands moved across her controls. Scanning. Now, Captain. Looking for the research station first. Ben stared at the main screen, expecting to see Dr. Kane's research station orbiting the planet below. Instead, he saw debris. Lots of debris. Captain, Amy said quietly, I'm reading metal fragments consistent with human construction. The research station is gone. Tom Brooks leaned forward in his chair. Gone how? Accident? Equipment failure? Amy shook her head. No, sir. The debris pattern suggests the station was torn apart, violently. Ben felt a cold knot form in his stomach. What about the planet? Amy worked her controls for several minutes before answering. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. Captain, according to these readings, the planet is hollow. What do you mean, hollow? I mean the core has been removed. The crust is intact, but everything underneath is gone. It's like someone used a giant straw to suck out the inside of an orange. Ben had seen a lot of strange things in his 20 years of space travel, but nothing like this. Life signs? None. Zero biological activity anywhere in the system. But Captain, my scans show massive energy signatures from just a few weeks ago. There were billions of life forms here recently. Tom Brooks was studying his tactical display. Captain, I'm picking up engine trails. Big ships, maybe 50 of them. The trails lead out of the system toward Galactic North. Ben made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Follow those trails, we need to see where they lead. The Shadow jumped back into hyperspace, following the engine signatures left by the Vorth fleet. 3 hours later, they dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of another star system. This one Ben recognized from the star charts. Kythera system, Amy announced. Home to about 12 billion Kythera on their main world. Ben had met Kythera before. They were gentle beings who looked like tall, thin humans but with silver skin that changed colors with their emotions. Their music was famous throughout human space. Their poetry had moved people to tears. Captain, Tom said urgently. I'm reading. Multiple large ships in the system. They're surrounding the Kythera homeworld. Amy's sensors painted a picture on the main screen that made Ben's blood run cold. Massive ships, each one the size of a human city, hung in space around the beautiful blue and green world of the Kythera. The ships were dark and angular, like knives made of metal and hate. 57 ships, Amy reported. Each one over 10 kilometers long. They're moving into formation around the planet. Are those the Vorth? Ben asked. Has to be, Tom replied. Same energy signatures as the trails we followed. Ben activated the communication system and tuned it to the Kythera emergency frequencies. Immediately, the bridge filled with desperate voices speaking in the musical language of the Kythera. Amy activated the translation system. The voices were pleading for help. They were broadcasting their location to anyone who might be listening. They were asking the galaxy to remember them. They know they're going to die, Amy said, tears running down her face. Ben watched the Vorth ships move closer to the planet. He had seen military formations before, and this was definitely an attack pattern. How long do they have, he asked. Amy checked her readings. Based on the formation speed and what we know from Dr. Kane's data, maybe 6 hours before the Vorth start their attack. Ben made another decision that would change everything. He opened a direct channel to Earth Command, knowing that breaking communication silence would reveal their position to anyone listening. Earth Command, this is Captain Taylor aboard UES Shadow. Priority Alpha transmission. The response came back immediately. Captain Taylor, this is Admiral Sullivan. Report. Admiral, Dr. Kane was right about everything. We're in the Kythera. System watching 57 Vorth ships prepare to destroy the planet. The research station is gone. The planet Dr. Kane was studying is hollow. They sucked out the core and left it empty. There was silence on the channel for a moment. Then Admiral Sullivan's voice returned, harder than before. Captain, are you certain about these numbers? Yes, ma'am. 57 ships, each one massive. The Kythera are broadcasting distress calls, but they don't have any weapons. They're completely helpless. Ben could hear voices arguing in the background at Earth Command. Politicians and military leaders debating while 12 billion innocent people waited to die. Admiral, Ben continued, the Kythera helped us when we first reached this part of space. They shared their culture with us, their music, their art, their poetry. They never asked for anything in return except friendship. More arguing in the background. Ben could make out Admiral Sullivan's voice rising above the others. Captain Taylor, the Admiral finally said, maintain your position and continue observing. Do not engage. Do not reveal yourselves to the Vorth. That's an order. Understood, Admiral. Ben closed the channel and looked at his crew. Amy was still listening to the Kythera distress calls. Tom was studying the Vorth ships, probably trying to figure out their weapons and defenses. Captain, Amy said suddenly, the Kythera are doing something different now. Ben looked at the communication display. The Kythera had stopped asking for help. Instead, they were broadcasting their entire cultural database to space. Every song they had ever written, every poem, every piece of art, every story. They want someone to remember them, Amy whispered. Tom Brooks, the tough Marine who had seen combat on 3 different worlds, wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Ben opened the channel to Earth Command again. Admiral Sullivan, the Kythera have maybe 6 hours left. If we're going to do something, it has to be now. These people are dying, and they're trying to make sure someone remembers their civilization existed. This time, Admiral Sullivan's response was immediate. All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan. Activate War Powers Protocol 7. I repeat, activate Protocol 7. This is not a drill. Ben had never heard Protocol 7 activated before. It meant Earth was going to war. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the war room deep inside Luna Command. watching the largest military mobilization in human history unfold on the screens around her. Protocol 7 had been created 50 years ago but never used. Today it would wake up humanity's sleeping war machine. The room buzzed with activity as officers rushed between communication stations. Red lights flashed on every panel, indicating maximum alert status across all human military installations. Kate had made the decision to go to war, and now she had to make it happen in less than 6 hours. "Admiral," called out Lieutenant Dan Foster from the Fleet Coordination Desk. "Mars Command reports the Sol Defense Fleet is powering up. The UES Titan and 12 heavy cruisers will be ready to jump in 4 hours." Kate nodded. The Titan was humanity's largest warship, built to defend Earth from invasion. It had never fired its weapons in anger. Today that would change. General Rick Hayes entered the war room, still putting on his uniform jacket. His gray hair was messy and his eyes were red from being woken up in the middle of the night. "Kate, please tell me you haven't declared war on an alien species without telling the president." Kate turned to face her old friend. They had served together for 30 years, through the Mars conflicts and the asteroid mining disputes. Rick knew her well enough to understand she didn't make decisions lightly. "Rick, 12 billion innocent people are going to die in 6 hours. The president can court-martial me after we save them." She gestured to the main screen, which showed Captain Taylor's live feed from the Kithara system. The Vorth ships were moving into their final attack positions. "My God," Rick whispered as he saw the size of the enemy fleet. 57 ships? Kate, we've never fought aliens before. We don't know what their weapons can do. Then we'll learn quickly. Kate activated the communication system connecting her to military bases across the solar system. "All commands, this is Admiral Sullivan. Operation Thunderstrike is now active. All available ships are to report to Mars Orbital Station within 3 hours." On Mars, General Sam Carter was already coordinating the activation of ships that had been in storage for decades. Automated systems came online throughout the orbital shipyards, preparing vessels that most people had forgotten existed. The UES Titan slowly rotated as its massive engines warmed up. Captain Alex Chen stood on the bridge of the great ship, watching his crew run through pre-flight checks they had only practiced in simulations. "Engineering report," Alex called out. "All systems green, Captain. Main engines at full power. Weapons. Systems charging. We'll be ready to jump in 2 hours." Alex had commanded cargo ships and patrol vessels, but never anything like the Titan. The ship was over 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to crack a moon. Its crew of 800 was the best humanity had to offer. Back on Luna, Dr. Paul Kim rushed into the war room carrying a data tablet and looking excited despite the circumstances. "Admiral, I've analyzed the sensor data from Captain Taylor's ship. I found something important about the Vorth." Kate turned from the tactical displays. "What did you find, Doctor?" Paul activated his tablet and projected the data onto the main screen. "Their ships use energy shields for protection, but the shields all operate on the same frequency. If we can generate a focused electromagnetic pulse on that exact frequency, we can disrupt their defenses." General Hayes leaned forward. "How focused? Can our ships generate that kind of pulse?" "Yes, but we'll need to modify our weapons. I can have the technical specifications sent to all ships within the hour." Kate felt a spark of hope. Humanity's first advantage in an impossible fight. Colonel Nina Walsh entered the war room in full combat gear, followed by 6 Marine officers. Nina was small and tough, with short black hair and scars from the Titan mining rebellion. Her Marines would follow her anywhere. "Admiral, 1st Marine Division is loading onto transport ships now. If this turns into a boarding action, we'll be ready." Kate looked at the timeline on her display. 3 hours until the fleet could jump to the Kythera system. 3 hours to prepare for humanity's first interstellar war. "Colonel, I need you to understand something. We don't know if the Vorth take prisoners. We don't know if they can be negotiated with. This might be a fight to the death." Nina's expression didn't change. "Ma'am, those aliens are committing genocide. If someone has to die to stop them, better it be us than 12 billion innocents." The war room fell quiet as everyone absorbed the weight of what they were about to do. Humanity was about to fight for the lives of an alien species they barely knew, against an enemy they had never seen. Commander Emma Stone arrived with a cart full of tactical displays and star charts. Emma was humanity's best military strategist, famous for solving impossible problems with creative thinking. "Admiral, I've been studying the Vorth formation around the Kithera homeworld. They're arranged for maximum efficiency in stripping the planet, not for defense against attack. They don't expect anyone to interfere." Kate studied Emma's analysis. "What do you recommend?" "Hit them fast and hard before they can reorganize. Use the quantum jump drives to arrive right in the middle of their formation. They'll be confused and scattered while we're organized and ready to fight." General Hayes shook his head. "Emma, that's incredibly risky. If we jump into the middle of 57 enemy ships, they could surround us." Emma smiled grimly. "General, they're already planning to commit mass murder. I don't think they're going to be worried about fair fighting." On the main screen, Captain Taylor's voice crackled through the communication system. "Earth Command, the Vorth are beginning their attack. Energy weapons are hitting the Kithera orbital stations. The planet's defense grid is already failing." Kate looked around the room at the faces of the people who would make humanity's first interstellar war possible. Soldiers and scientists, strategists and engineers, all united by the simple belief that genocide was wrong. "Dr. Kim, how long to get your weapon modifications installed on the fleet?" 2 hours, Admiral. "Colonel Walsh, how long to get your Marines aboard the ships?" 1 hour, ma'am. "Commander Stone, how long to brief all ship captains on your tactical plan?" 30 minutes, Admiral." Kate activated the fleet communication system, connecting her to every human military vessel in the solar system. "This is Admiral Sullivan, to all ships and stations. 50 years ago, humanity decided to stay out of alien conflicts. Today, we're going to make an exception. In 3 hours, we jumped to the Kithera system to stop a genocide. We've never fought aliens before, but we know how to fight for what's right." She paused, looking at the image of the Vorth ships surrounding the helpless planet. "The enemy has superior numbers and unknown technology. They think no one will stand up to them. They're about to learn what happens when humanity decides to fight. All ships, prepare for Operation Thunderstrike." Across the solar system, humanity's war machine came fully awake for the first time in decades. Ships that had been museums became warships again. Soldiers who had only known peace prepared for the ultimate battle. Scientists who had spent their careers studying the stars now worked to build weapons. In 3 hours, 12 billion Kithera would either be saved or die, knowing that someone had tried to help them. Kate Sullivan had made sure of that. Captain Alex Chen gripped the arms of his command chair as space twisted around the UES Titan. The quantum jump drive was humanity's newest technology, allowing ships to travel instantly across vast distances. Today, it would deliver Earth's fleet directly into the heart of an alien battle formation. "Jump complete," announced his navigation officer. "We are in the Kithera system." Alex looked at the main screen and felt his breath catch. The human fleet had materialized right in the middle of the Vorth formation, exactly as Commander Stone had planned. 57 massive alien ships surrounded them, but the element of surprise was complete. The Vorth ships were huge and dark, covered in sharp angles that made them look like weapons themselves. They were spread out around the Kithera homeworld, their energy beams already cutting into the planet's surface. Orange fire was visible on the continents below where cities were burning. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan," came the voice over the communication system. "Execute Operation Thunderstrike. Target their shield generators with electromagnetic pulse weapons. Fire at will." Alex turned to his weapons officer. "Lieutenant Brown, activate the EMP cannons. Target the nearest Vorth ship." "Targeting now." "Captain, firing." Brilliant blue energy lanced out from the Titan's main guns, striking the closest Vorth vessel. The alien ship's shields flickered and died, just as Dr. Kim had predicted. All around the human fleet, the same scene played out as 12 Earth ships opened fire simultaneously. The effect was immediate and devastating. Vorth shields collapsed across their entire formation. For the first time in what might have been centuries, the genocidal aliens found themselves vulnerable, but the Vorth adapted quickly. Alex watched as the alien ships began moving, their formations shifting from planet-stripping efficiency to combat readiness. Energy weapons that had been focused on the planet below swung toward the human fleet. "Incoming fire," called out the tactical officer. "Multiple energy beams converging on our position." "Evasive maneuvers," Alex ordered. "Take us down toward the planet's gravity well." The Titan dove toward the Kythera homeworld, using the planet's gravity to increase its speed and maneuverability. Around them, the rest of the human fleet scattered, each ship following Commander Stone's tactical plan. On his reconnaissance ship, Captain Ben Taylor watched the battle unfold while providing crucial intelligence to the fleet. His stealth systems kept him hidden, but his advanced sensors could track every movement of the enemy ships. "Admiral Sullivan, this is Captain Taylor. The Vorth command ship is the largest vessel on the far side of their formation. It's coordinating their movements." Admiral Sullivan's voice came back immediately. "Understood, Captain. All ships' priority target is the Vorth command vessel. Colonel Walsh, are your Marines ready?" On the assault transport UES Hammer, Colonel Nina Walsh checked her combat gear one final time. Around her, 200 Marines prepared for what might be the most dangerous boarding action in human history. "Marines are ready, Admiral. We have boarding pods loaded and targeting the Vorth command ship." Nina had led Marines in combat before, but never against aliens. She didn't know if the Vorth could be killed by human weapons. She didn't know if they took prisoners or if they fought to the death. In a few minutes, she would find out. The battle raged around the Kythera homeworld as human and Vorth ships exchanged devastating fire. The humans were outnumbered 4-1, but their electromagnetic pulse weapons had leveled the playing field. Every time a Vorth ship tried to raise its shields, human weapons knocked them down again. Captain Alex Chen watched his crew work with precision and determination. The Titan's massive guns fired continuously, each shot carefully aimed at critical systems on enemy vessels. His ship had taken several hits, but the human armor was holding. "Captain, we have a problem," called out the sensor operator. "The Vorth are adapting their shield frequency. The EMP weapons are becoming less effective." Alex felt his stomach drop. Humanity's main advantage was disappearing. "How long before they completely adapt?" "Maybe 10 minutes, sir. 10 minutes to win or lose humanity's first interstellar war." Commander Emma Stone's voice came over the fleet communication system. "All ships execute pattern Delta. Use the asteroid belt for cover. Force them to fight us one at a time." Alex smiled grimly. Emma's tactical genius was about to be tested against an enemy that had conquered dozens of worlds. The human fleet broke formation and dove toward the system's asteroid belt, a ring of rocky debris orbiting between two gas giant planets. The Vorth followed, but their large ships had trouble maneuvering between the floating rocks. What had been a massive space battle became a deadly game of hide and seek. Human ships used the asteroids as cover, appearing long enough to fire before disappearing again. The Vorth, used to overwhelming their enemies with brute force, struggled against humanity's adaptability. On the planet below, the Kythera watched the battle in amazement. Their tall silver forms gathered in the remains of their cities, looking up at the sky where strange aliens fought to save them from extinction. HFY, the Kythera leader, stood in the ruins of their capital city's communication center. The building had been hit by Vorth energy weapons, but the main transmitter still worked. "To the unknown vessels fighting for our world," HFY broadcast. "We are the Kythera. We do not know who you are, but you risk your lives for people you barely know. Your courage gives us hope that goodness still exists in the galaxy." The message reached every human ship, translated by their computers into words the crew could understand. Many of the humans had tears in their eyes as they continued fighting. Colonel Walsh's boarding pods launched from the UES Hammer, small armored vehicles carrying Marines toward the Vorth command ship. The pods used the battle's chaos as cover, weaving between energy beams and explosions. 30 seconds to contact," Nina announced to her Marines. "Remember, we don't know anything about Vorth biology. Aim for center mass and keep shooting until they stop moving." The boarding pods struck the Vorth command ship and began cutting through the hull. Nina was the first Marine through the breach, her rifle ready and her heart pounding. Inside the alien ship, she found corridors filled with strange atmosphere and lighting that hurt human eyes. The Vorth themselves were tall and thin, covered in dark armor that made them look like living shadows. They fought with energy weapons and vicious determination. The battle inside the command ship was brutal and close quarters. Human Marines fought room by room against alien defenders who seemed to feel no fear or pain. Nina led her troops deeper into the ship, looking for the command center. Meanwhile, the space battle reached its climax as the Vorth shields finally adapted to humanity's EMP weapons. The aliens pressed their numerical advantage, surrounding human ships and focusing their fire. Captain Alex Chen watched 3 human vessels disappear in balls of fire. The odds were becoming impossible. Then Captain Ben Taylor's voice crackled over the communication system, weak and filled with static. "All ships, this is Taylor. The Vorth command ship is losing power. Colonel Walsh's Marines are doing something right. If we can destroy that ship, their coordination will collapse." Alex looked at the main screen and saw the massive Vorth command vessel. It was surrounded by smaller escort ships, but its weapons had stopped firing. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on the Vorth command vessel. Everything we have." The surviving human ships converged on the alien command ship, their weapons blazing. At the same time, Colonel Walsh's Marines fought their way to the ship's bridge, where strange alien creatures operated controls that no human could understand. The battle for the Cathera system hung in the balance. 12 billion lives depended on the next few minutes of fighting. Captain Ben Taylor, alone in his reconnaissance ship, made one final decision. He dropped his stealth systems and aimed his ship directly at the Vorth command vessel's main weapon array. "Tell them we kept our promise," he transmitted to Admiral Sullivan. "Tell them the Cathera are safe." His ship struck the alien vessel at full speed, the explosion tearing through the command ship's hull. The massive Vorth vessel began to break apart, its crew compartments venting atmosphere into space. The remaining Vorth ships, suddenly leaderless and confused, began to retreat. Their perfect formation collapsed as individual captains made their own decisions about whether to continue fighting. Admiral Sullivan's voice filled the communication channels of every surviving human ship. "All vessels, cease fire. The enemy is withdrawing. Cathera homeworld is secured." But victory had come at a terrible price. 4 human ships were gone, along with over 1,000 crew members. Captain Ben Taylor had died saving an alien world that most humans had never heard of. As the Vorth fleet jumped away into hyperspace, their commander sent one final message to the human fleet. "Your species has made a grave error. The collective will remember this interference. Your worlds will burn for what you have done here." Admiral Sullivan's response was broadcast across the galaxy on all frequencies. "Let them come. Humanity doesn't negotiate with murderers."